the local exchange, expected to continue trading in the green after markets closed in the positive yesterday, led by gains in mining and the banking sector. Now, those stocks doing fairly well. Yesterday, the rand ended higher against the US dollar. Let's speak now to independent markets analyst Karl Gevers, who's going to give us the latest updates as to the performance of the JSE. Karl, good morning to you. Your quick overview of how local trade is faring?
Yeah, good morning, Dolly. I think continuing on yesterday's positive day, today, again, the market, or at least the JSE, starting in the green. Also following on quite a strong market in Asia, with the Hang Seng currently 1.8% up, and we see Europe also in the green. So I think it looks to be a positive day today. A lot of the positive sentiment coming from the US banking sector, where a lot of the fear has been quelled to some degree. We've seen First Citizens Bank is intending to buy Silicon Valley Bank, and I think that bringing back some confidence. And we've seen that also in the gold price coming back slightly, which is generally a safe haven. So gold price pulling back 0.5%. Oil price also ticking up about 0.5% at $78.97. So I think a bit of a risk-on environment at the moment.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Reserve Bank, which is expected to hike interest rates by 25 basis points. Should we expect the bank to pause the hikes after Thursday's hiking cycle?
Yeah, I think certainly the expectation is for a 0.25%, 25 basis point hike this week. But then beyond that, a lot of it will depend on what happens in the US with the Fed. And the expectation there is also for one further hike this year, and then possibly a pause for the rest of the year. Not necessarily any cuts, with line of sight of any cuts. But I think the local Reserve Bank would have to manage basically the situation between the dollar and the rand, given that if our interest rate differs quite a bit from the US interest rate, then it will impact the rand. So to protect the rand and also inflation, because a weaker rand will certainly have inflationary pressure. So I think it depends on the US and possibly one more hike after this.
Sure. Crossing fingers that this might be the last one, at least for the time being. Let's talk company news. Barloworld posting a trading update for the 5 months to the 28th of February 2023. How are their numbers looking?
Yeah, quite a solid update there. Revenue for the group up 14.9% on a comparative basis, and their operating profit up 18%. A lot of it is driven by the equipment business in South Africa, the South African equipment business, where mining activity and fleet replacement have driven revenues up 41%. In Eurasia, which includes Mongolia and Russia, for obvious reasons, business is a bit tougher in Russia. Revenue down there 39%, so a bit tougher that side. The other business, which is the in-grain business, the starch business, also very, very solid revenue numbers there, up 23.2% on the back of higher commodity prices and also increased exports. Overall, a good update there. The share price up this morning 1.7%.
Let's conclude with Steinhoff, the board there, voting to enter a Dutch law. This is a restructuring process. It's referred to as the WHOA. You'll tell me what this is exactly. This is where shareholders lose everything if indeed their plans are to unfold. Talk us through this new plan.
Yeah, so a few days ago, shareholders voted, or at least about 60% of shareholders voted against the proposal by the board, where basic creditors would take over 80% of the shareholding, and existing shareholders would remain with 20% in an unlisted vehicle. That was voted against. So now the board has gone to basically an insolvency process, where creditors effectively take over, they will get paid. The idea is for not to have a fire sale of assets, because then creditors would also lose. But in this case, creditors would then be able to, plan ahead and maybe yield in certain areas. But certainly shareholders, equity holders would be at the back of the queue, and in the current situation, there is pretty much nothing on the table for shareholders. So I think there are obviously shareholders that want to continue fighting the process, but I think overall the chance remains slim that there is anything left on the table for shareholders.
Very interesting developments indeed. Karl Gevers, let's leave it there. He is an independent markets analyst.